the weather do be weathering, I made a mistake. I made a mistake that I think a lot of musicians have probably made at some point, especially guitar players who perhaps are more afflicted by gas than some others. I went on eBay on payday, and as such, my reverb quest has reached another milestone. I bought a Walrus Audio Sloer. I found one for a good price online and caved like a house of cards in a hurricane. The Slöer is a stereo in, stereo out, ambient reverb by Walrus Audio, and it has a couple of really cool features that help it stand out from the ever-growing crowd. These two sliders, X and Stretch, do all sorts of kind of wonderful stuff. X changes, I think, depending on what mode you're in, but for the most part, it's either a diffusion knob, or it affects other kind of mode-dependent properties, like, for example, how much of an octave is in the signal in your trails, for example. One thing to note, actually, that is super appreciated is that there is a center tick in the middle, just to tell you when you're kind of at neutral. Stretch, from what I can tell, is a sample rate knob. From reading the manual. So if, for example, you want to lower the sample rate to increase the length of the trails but reduce the fidelity of the trails, then you can manipulate that stretch knob, and I will demo that right now. So I've popped everything back to noon except for the mix. I've got the mix set high because of how I have it routed through my interface, but I'm just going to show you the X knob real quick. So this is my clean signal. It's a little bit kind of on the edge, but I have the volume down on my guitar. And then if I flip this on, it's lovely. It is lovely. Let's just put that all the way down now. And there you go, in comes that octave. The rest of Slöer is a fairly standard reverb fare. You've got decay, filter, depth, which controls the depth of your modulation in those trails. You've got a mix knob, which I have set all the way up here because of how I've got my signal routed through. There is a width switch, which is pretty cool. It allows you to control the width of the signal, of the output of the Slöer in a stereo field. So that's cool. We have a lot of control over that. It's a really cool little feature for studio use. And then over here we have our mode knob, which allows you access to your 5 modes, which are Dream, Light, Rain, Dark, and Rise. It's also worth noting that there is a sustain button, which is a freeze switch, effectively. Super cool. I'm just going to flick through each mode on the Slöer just to give you an idea of what each of the modes or kind of algorithms sound like. So let's start. Just a reminder of our clean signal. Dream. Light. Rain. Dark. and rise. Awesome. It sounds really, really great. It does. 5 pretty similar sounding algorithms might sound limiting in today's world of, 1,000 mode digital things, but it's actually quite refreshing in a weird way. The interface is super clean, super easy to use. It's just a few knobs and switches. There's no faffing around with 8 layers of menus. It's great. I'm just going to pop it back onto, let's say, Dream. I'm just going to do a super quick. Let's just put the width to narrow. Medium. And wide. Hopefully you can get a good idea of that. You might need some headphones for that one though. It would be a travesty to have something like this in and not run some synths through it. So I don't have a Juno, unfortunately, but I do have the Arturia Juno 6 plugin, so I reckon we fire that up and get some cool sounds. Right, we've got some Juno out and going, which is awesome. I know I preface all of my videos with this, but cannot stress enough, I am not a keyboard player, right? But hopefully this gives you an idea. Pop the Slöer on, keep it on Dream, I think. It's like immediate, talking over the trails, that's naughty. Immediate, glorious, washy, amazing. Super, super cool. Get some really, really extreme sounds out of it. Just playing around with the modes a bit, I think. Light, I think, completely from memory now, so you have to forgive me if I'm not correct. Light, I think, is like a shimmer. I think it's an octave up in there. Oh, I like that. That's really cool. That's got like a retro 80s thing. We're just going to get lost in this now. That's where we're going. Cyberspace. Wow, that's really got some kick. Jeez. What's Afterglow pad? There's quite a noticeable volume drop there. If I just off, on, it's not a huge deal, but there is definitely a volume drop. Another thing that I have noticed just while we've been doing this is just to bear in mind that there seems to be a hard cut on the trails every time you change something. So you're changing the, or if you change the mode, there's a harsh. Certainly not a deal breaker by any stretch of the imagination, but maybe something to bear in mind if that's, you know, going to opt into your workflow somehow. It's incredible. It's really, really, really cool. Yeah, man. I think it's wicked. I think it's wicked. I think it might be, maybe if I had one criticism, it would be that it's maybe a little bit one-dimensional. You know, it doesn't, for example, it's very much a one-trick pony in terms of what it does and in terms of functionality. If you are in the market for a really killer stereo in, stereo out, ambient reverb, and you don't need stuff like, you know, MIDI functionality, then this is awesome. You know, you don't need the screen and the menu diving and all that sort of thing. This is a really, really fantastic option. If you do, or if you're looking at something, for example, that you need a bit more versatility out of, if this is going to be the only reverb on your board, for example, the only reverb in your home studio, and you want something that maybe also offers a room sound or a plate or a hall or all that sort of stuff, this is not it. This doesn't do that. This is a straight down the middle, stereo in, stereo out, really fantastic ambient reverb with some great kind of added features there. If you make lo-fi sounds, this might be a really cool contender. If you make lo-fi music, be that in the box or on guitar or whatever, and you're looking for a really cool, really interesting reverb, or even if you're looking just to get out the box a little bit, this is a really cool option. Thank you so much for watching. Thank you so much for sticking about. The Slöer is about $320 to $340, somewhere in that range online. I think that's a little bit pricey for what you're getting in terms of, you know, it's just, as I said, it's just a strict ambient reverb. What do you think? How do you kind of feel about that? What do you think about the Slöer in general, actually? I mean, I think it's killer. I'd love to get your thoughts in the comments below. Are there any other reverb pedals that I've missed that I should be checking out? I'm still kind of thinking about the Death by Audio rooms, but as I said earlier, truth be told, I have got something coming that I think is probably going to put my reverb quest to an end. Get subscribed if you want to see that. Before I go, Nevermore Audio has a community forum, and I'd really love it if you would go and check it out. It's small at the moment, but it's building all the time. We've got some really great conversations going on over there, some super nerdy things happening. If you want to talk tubes in your amplifier, or you want to talk Juno voice chips, or you want to talk Eurorack, or you want to talk sound design and making horrible, glorious, incredible noise, then go sign up now. It's completely free, obviously. I just wanted to create something that was free of social media. It's not dependent on a Facebook login. You don't have to, you know, deal with all of the toxic crap that comes with social media. It's just a safe space for us to go and be nerds and talk about sound, which is all I wanted. And hopefully it's something that you'll be interested in as well. Thank you so much for watching. Thank you for sticking to the end. It really is appreciated. We'll see you next time.